What's up, YouTube? We've been having some beautiful weather here in Southwest Michigan, and the maple sap has just been a-flowing the last few days. So tonight, I'm going to fire up the reverse osmosis system, and I'm going to try and concentrate down about 80 gallons of sap, and then we'll fire up the evaporator. So let's go ahead and get to work. We've got a full night ahead of us. We have 11 extremely full buckets of sap, just waiting to be run through the reverse osmosis and boiled. So without further ado, let's get to it. It's going to be a long night. We have the reverse osmosis system up and running, and I have to say I messed around with this thing a little bit last week, and it did save me a ton of time. I was super impressed with it. So essentially, here's how it works. Fresh sap is fed to the system from this bucket that I have here. I just have a clamp on the side there, and this input hose that goes all the way down to the bottom of the bucket. The clamp helps hold the hose in place and keeps it down to the bottom so it's never starving for fluid. We have a pump here that pressurizes the entire system, and this is just ran off a standard wall plug here. You plug this into your wall outlet, plug it into the pump right here, and away you go. So sap is being pumped from the bucket up to this side of the pump. It then is being pumped out of this side of the pump and comes into the sediment pre-filter here. The sediment pre-filter is getting all or any of the sediment out of there before sending it on over to the membranes. We have a pressure gauge here. I've been told that 100 psi is a good target, so that's what I have the psi dialed into. There's also a fine adjust or a coarse adjustment that can be made on the bottom of this pump. The fine adjustment I'm doing with that needle valve there. We have 3 membranes, so from the pre-filter they come over to the membranes, and essentially what the membranes do is the membranes only allow H2O to pass through. So anything else, ergo sugar, will not go through. So essentially what these membranes are doing is they are only allowing pure water to pass through, and the pure water is coming out through these blue lines on the bottom here, and all 3 of these membranes are plumbed in series, and then all of the concentrated sap and sediment is being removed through these yellow lines here, which has this needle valve on it, and I'm using that to determine my pressure on the system and my split between permeate or pure water and concentrated sap that's being created. From what I understand, these reverse osmosis systems can remove quite a bit of water. Right now I'm targeting a 50-50 split. So you can see I got a good nice drip here on this yellow line, which is our concentrated sap being deposited into this clean bucket here. And I have this blue line going to this blue bucket here, and you can see that has about an equal drip, and that is depositing pure water, otherwise known as permeate. And I save a few buckets of this permeate, and I actually chase the sap at the end of the run and run a few buckets of that through in order to help clear some of the sugar out of the system, since I'm going to have about a week in between uses on the machine. Once we have enough concentrated sap, we'll go ahead and we'll fire up that evaporator. I've already got it stoked with wood and just waiting for a little bit of sap. All right, we have enough sap in the evaporator now to get started. So I've got this bad boy already stoked up and have a fire starter in there. So now all I need to do is light that fire starter, and we should be off to the races here shortly. Oh yeah, we have a good fire going now, and I can see some steam starting to come off of that pan. So it shouldn't be too long now, and we'll be getting this thing up into a boil. Let's check inside and see how the fire is doing here. Oh yeah, those tumbleweed fire starters really get it going good. So, awesome. I believe I had misspoke a little bit earlier. I had said that sugar will not make it through your membranes. That's not necessarily true. You can end up with sugar in your permeate if you're running your system too hard. So that's where it's important to monitor your pressure, and also to try and monitor the split that you're getting between concentrate and permeate. When you're set up right, you'll have virtually no sugar in here, but if you're overrunning the system, you definitely can end up with sugar in your permeate. We have an awesome evaporation going on now. Pretty good boil started. I cracked the ball valve on the pre-warmer there so that we're introducing a little bit of cooler temperature sap to keep us from oil overboiling. All right, we're in business now. So far so good. We're running a good 100 psi on our pressure gauge still. We're on our 5th bucket. It's about 11:30 p.m. and we're not going to win any awards for speed with this unit, but it sure does beat the heck out of boiling for twice as long. It's almost midnight and we've still got a good boil going, and I'm just keeping warm out here next to the evaporator. Thankfully the wind died down. It was really chilly with that wind, but it's not too bad now that the wind's died down, and standing next to this evaporator is keeping me pretty warm. But I found that it's a lot easier to stay awake when I just stay out here, tend to the evaporator. Well, now I got the RO system to keep an eye on as well, because I'm running that at the same time. But you definitely don't want to get too relaxed or try and sneak a nap in. I know from experience, the first 2 years that I did this, I scorched pans. So don't know if you ever scorched a pan before, but that is no fun. It's an experience that you should try to avoid if at all possible. So it's going to be a long night here. I'm going to brew some coffee here in a little bit, and we're just going to stay awake and tend the fire and keep the RO going. Clouds are starting to clear. Now I got the moon directly overhead, which is kind of nice. It's brightening it up a little bit for me, helping me stay awake. It'd be nice if the rest of the clouds would clear up so I could see some stars out here. I just freshly stoked the stove, and you can tell that baby is running hot. We got a good boil still going here, good evaporation taking place. We're just about down to our last bucket at the reverse osmosis system there. So here very shortly we're going to be going out to the trees and collecting the last of what's out at the trees yet. So I had 11 5-gallon buckets full. They were all full to the top, so they were all slightly more than 5 gallons. So total that we've done so far is getting pretty close to 60 gallons. I expect that I'll have at least another 20 gallons, possibly more, from the trees. So all in all, we're looking at probably somewhere between 80 and 100 gallons when all is said and done. So we'll definitely see the sunrise this morning before we're through here. We're out at my faithful silver maple here, and oh yeah, that's starting to get real slushy in those bags. But yeah, we got quite a bit out here, so I'm gonna go ahead and start emptying the trees on out, and hopefully the sun will be coming up soon, and that'll help me stay awake for the rest of the boil. Ooh, it is really cold out now. It's about 5:30 a.m. getting pretty close to 6 a.m. and we are starting to get some ice blocks that are forming in our line there. You can see that it's about to shoot one out. Ooh, we might be really close to doing these last couple of buckets without the RO, taking the RO inside so that it doesn't get damaged. I don't really feel like firing up the torpedo heater in here, digging out the propane tank and firing up the torpedo heater for just the last little bit. So anyway, I'm gonna run it as long as I can, but if I notice that this is starting to have too many issues, we're gonna go ahead and just do the rest of it old school. Thankfully, I can finally see daybreak, so that is a welcome sign. I'm looking forward to a little bit of daylight and the last couple hours of this boil so I can take a shower and take a nap. It ended up getting cold enough in the barn that I ended up having to take the reverse osmosis system inside. So the last bucket and a half or so, that's all going to be done old school. Now, if I would have had better foresight and I would have realized how cold it was going to get tonight, I could have had the barn heated up a little bit with the torpedo heater. But by the time that thing started to freeze up, I was already to the point to where I was tired enough. I wasn't going to try and dig out the propane tank and get that thing fired up. Plus, it probably would have took a little while for it to have heated up to the point to where it would have made a difference anyway. So, here we are. We got a little bit of daylight. The worst of it's behind us. The hardest part is staying awake while it's dark. But we're starting to get a nice dark color to that sap. Not quite to the sugar content yet to be considered syrup. Oops, steaming up the camera. So we'll finish out the last couple hours out here on the evaporator, and then it'll be time for a nap. It feels like this last little bit is just taking forever. Of course, when I get towards the end, I'm so afraid of boiling it over and ruining all my hard work that I tend to run the fire just a little bit less hot. So that's probably why it takes so much longer at the end than what I expect. Doesn't help that my RO system ended up kind of freezing up, and I had to go to the old school method for the last bucket and a half too. That doesn't speed anything up. The sun is just out and shining now. It's actually turning out to be a pretty nice day so far, and we are getting very, very close to wrapping this thing up. So got the warming tray off of there now, so we're just down to the main pan. Got a good sustained boil going on here, and the color is looking really good. That steam that's coming off of there smells very sweet. So we're getting pretty close. I'm thinking that we might have another 20 minutes to a half an hour, and then I will be taking this on off and getting this sap into a pot, and we'll be putting that in the fridge for a finished boil later on this week. I just pulled it off of the stove, and this is a beautiful amber color. Oh, that looks and smells so good. I got the stove to where I wasted hardly any wood. I was running on fumes there at the end, but I got it down to where it needed to be. So let me go ahead and grab the pot, and we'll get this emptied out. I'll get that in the fridge, and then I am gonna get a shower and get some sleep. Buying this large stainless steel pot was an awesome investment. It's been working out great so far this season. Last year, when I would have did this, I would have had to had 2 pots, and sometimes 2 pots and then 2 very, very, very large jars. And yeah, I had a lot of space issues as far as storage goes, but this pot is big enough that I can fit just about the biggest size batch that I'll probably do. I can fit into 1 pot. There we go. All right, this part should go pretty quick. And there is our concentrated sap. It admittedly is a little bit thicker than most of my batches when I take them off. I probably should have took it off a little bit earlier. I could tell by the way that it was filtering that I probably got the sugar content a little bit higher on this than I normally do. But it's definitely some good looking sap, and it's going to make hopefully close to 2 gallons worth of finished syrup. So looking forward to that. Thank you so much for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, please hit that thumbs up button and consider becoming a subscriber to the channel. We'll see you in the next video. Thanks.